Hi everyone, my name is Miss Kavita and I'm from the Lilburn branch of the Gwinnett County Public Library. April 2nd is World Autism Awareness Day, and the entire month of April marks National Autism Awareness Month. All month long, it is important to recognize and continue our efforts to spread awareness, promote acceptance, and ignite change in relation to individuals considered to have the autism spectrum disorder. The purpose is to educate others about autism and to celebrate our differences as we work to build an all inclusive society where individuals with autism live fully in all areas of life through connection and acceptance. And to do just that today, we have with us Ms. Claire Dees, Director of the Spectrum Autism Support Group. Spectrum is an organization established in 1998 with the mission to provide support, education, and resources for individuals and families impacted by autism, and a vision for improving the lives of those individuals and their families. Spectrum currently serves over 1,500 families in Gwinnett County and the surrounding metro Atlanta area and has become a well-known resource in the autism community. Support groups, summer camps, day camps, overnight camps, social skills groups, community training, and family events are offered for all ages and abilities. So without further delay, I am honored to present to you the co-founder and the first executive director of Spectrum, Ms. Claire Dees. Good morning, Ms. Claire, and welcome to our very, very special program.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all having me today. What an important time as we look at Autism Awareness Month now with 1 in 54 being diagnosed with autism. People are definitely very aware about autism. So we've really moved more into acceptance of people with autism and how do we include them in our community. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity today.
That's amazing. And I'm sure our viewers would like to know more about you and your wonderful journey and the services that you're providing to the community. Would you mind sharing a little information about yourself and your journey?
Well, I live in Swanee and I've been in Gwinnett County for 40 years. The way I got involved in the autism arena was I had a son with autism. My son was on the more severe end of the spectrum, nonverbal, and required a lot of support. So obviously I was looking for support in the community, and there was no support group in Gwinnett County. There was a single mom who went to the Gwinnett County schools and asked, why was there not a support group? Why didn't the school provide a support group? And they said, you know, it's a great idea and we'd be happy to help with that. But we feel like parents should run a parent support group, not the school system. But we'd be happy to share the information, host in our facility. Even teachers could volunteer to help with childcare. And that mom said, I'm a single mom. I could not do that by myself. And the autism director, who was a friend of mine and had taught my son, said, I know a mom who might be able to help. And so we got connected and we founded Spectrum together, Rochelle Guyman and I, in 1998. And we decided just have a free pizza dinner, free childcare, invite people to come one evening to see what kind of needs there were in the community for support. And we expected maybe 20, 25 people. We had a social worker there to facilitate a discussion for a support circle. And we were blown away when over 100 people showed up for that meeting.
Oh,
So
wow.
no doubt there was need for support in Gwinnett County. And that's how Spectrum started. The woman that had the vision for the group had a beautiful plan of how to implement. I was more behind the scenes, organizing childcare and welcoming people and sending out newsletters and that kind of thing with the school. And she moved on to other things within a few years. And by that time, the group had grown so large, I just kept it going. And at that very first meeting, we found out people needed a lot more than support. They were looking for connections with other parents. They were looking for resources, education on what to do next. Children of all age and ability level were represented there. People said, we have no summer programs. We have no respite. There are no after school programs. We need all those things. And we're like, we're just a few parents trying to make a difference. But you know, that vision caught hold for me to realize we had the opportunity to fill in the gaps in our community in services and support. So that became our mission.
Okay.
And we had the benefit of some nice donations from community groups that helped us start our camp program. We have a very robust camp program where people come from 7 different counties just to our camps because of the lack of such things as that. Anyway, it became my passion to help families, thinking I've been through this. My son was 10 at the time. Maybe I can help others. And it made our life more meaningful to be able to help other people. My son actually passed away 9 years ago of a heart attack, very suddenly at the age of 23. And I couldn't think of doing anything else but to continue this work because now it's a part of his legacy that I continue helping families. And it is what brings me the most joy is those one-on-one phone calls, just helping families or seeing them out at a family event, judgment-free, enjoying making those connections with other families. So that's a little history about myself and how Spectrum started. I do have 2 other typical children that are grown and married and 1 little grandson. And my husband and I enjoy living in the Swanee community.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I'm sure our viewers are going to have lots of questions which you are going to be able to answer through this presentation. So let me go ahead and share that. All right, so let's start with a simple question of what exactly is autism?
Okay, if you can just scroll forward a couple of slides. I have a slide on what is autism. So many people find autism a little bit of a confusing thing to describe even, but the basic definition would be persistent difficulties with social, behavioral, and communication skills. It's very much a social issue. That's the lifelong learning issue with autism, and communication, even with people that are verbal, is often a challenge for them. It is the fastest growing neurological developmental disability. It occurs in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups, and the abilities range. It is definitely a spectrum disorder, range from very gifted to severely challenged with autism spectrum. Some people use terms like low functioning, high functioning, and we kind of discourage that because just because a person may appear to not have the same cognitive ability, you don't know what's going on inside their head. And some of our more genius level individuals can have some of the most severe meltdowns and behaviors. So you really can't judge where they are on the spectrum based on sometimes their abilities. It does impact currently 1 out of 54 children, and seems like the rate continues to increase. Boys are 5 times more likely to have autism than girls. You'll often see ASD, autism spectrum disorder. We are seeing more and more girls diagnosed, so I'm wondering if that number may change in the next few years because girls are better at masking autism and tend to be a little more social. We're seeing more women diagnosed after school, even in their 20s, diagnosed with autism. So that's a very interesting thing people might want to be aware of. Sometimes you might think this is something you look at little children, but people are diagnosed all through their lifespan. I just met a woman diagnosed at 60. So, and that's something people might want to be aware of. You might know someone who you think might be on the spectrum, and they might be. They just may not have been diagnosed. So, if you want to move to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about the characteristics of autism. So, this is like such a range of characteristics of autism. And some individuals may have some and not others, but the communication really is the biggest thing that you would see. It might just be how they use language, might be echolalia, where they repeat what they hear, or even scripted language, where they're repeating things they've heard on TV or a movie and trying to use it in a setting that may or may not be appropriate. And often they just have difficulty relating to people or things or events. They may play with toys in an unusual way, lining up things in order, but not really playing and engaging with the toy in the appropriate way. Maybe just exploring it with their mouth even, and tasting things. You see people licking trees and things like that sometimes. And change and routine, adjusting to change is sometimes one of the biggest issues for people with autism wherever they fall on the spectrum. They like things to be the same. Sometimes you see people doing repetitive body movements, rocking, hand flapping, things that would be for them, stimulating for them, and might draw attention. Mentions difficulty with change again. Generalizing their skills to new places is often very difficult. And stress is they don't know how to handle stress often. So anxiety is very high with people with autism. And the behaviors are often because of their lack of communication, where they're acting out because they don't know how to communicate, maybe scratching or pulling hair or crying because they can't communicate really what they want. Intense or unusual interest are super common, where they may be having a session with a certain topic or a certain thing. Like it could be something that's common like dinosaurs or Pokemon, but it could be something like vacuum cleaners. It could be an unusual thing that they are interested in. And they may know everything about that particular thing and can talk about it to you. And that's really all they can talk about comfortably with someone. So engaging in topics and listening to other people is something we're constantly teaching our children, is how to listen to someone else talk about their interest and not just them talk about theirs, and to understand other people's point of view. Facial expressions and recognizing emotions and facial expressions is often a challenge, and even recognizing faces. Facial recognition can be an issue for people with autism, and they're very, very literal thinkers. So if you say raining cats and dogs, they're like, where are the cats and dogs coming down? You know, they take things very literally. So you have to really think about that when you ask them to do things sometime. And abstract ideas are hard. Things that are very concrete and visual are much easier. Things written on a list or a picture guide just to help people know what to expect next can be really helpful for family activities, school, even for jobs, that kind of thing. And many of them are very uncoordinated and not very athletic. That's not across the board, but you see often a lot of people that have motor coordination problems. And sensitivity to sensory input, things like loud noises. You might see people putting their hands over their ears. You might see them wearing headsets to block noise, those noise canceling headphones. The slightest little sound could be something you don't even notice or hear because you're used to tuning it out, but it might set them off just to be overwhelmed with certain sounds, and maybe loud noises. My son, it used to be lawnmowers and weed eaters, and the sound of a diesel truck idling. And we took a while to figure out what was it that was input coming in that was affecting him and causing some behavior. And it was just the sensory thing. And sometimes it's touch. They may not like to be touched, or they may crave touch and want a lot of deep pressure, someone to squeeze them tight. And they may not understand how to like pet a little dog soft and not know how to regulate that. And they're squeeze things, maybe too tight, things like that. So those are some of the things that are a little more specific about autism.
Okay. Wow. Well, let's move on to the next one. And I'm sure a lot of parents and caregivers wonder, what do I do if I think my child may have autism?
Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the early signs of autism. There's a big campaign um, with the CDC right now. It's Learn the Signs, Act Early is their campaign. You can go to the CDC website to read more details on the early signs of autism, but the primary things would be most children are not diagnosed before 18 months of age, even though there may be some key signs before that. But in young children, 18 months to 3 years, these are the key things that you look for. Consistently avoiding eye contact, lack of social connection and engagement, doesn't play with toys appropriately, and I've mentioned some of these prior to, lack of meaningful language. I mentioned they might repeat words but not use in the appropriate way. So they may have words but not know how to use them appropriately. They might insist on lining their toys up in a row instead of playing with them, and do not mess up that order because that may really upset them. Often they don't respond to their names at that early age. That's one of the first things you look for, is children to recognize their name and look when you call their name. And one of the things not on this list is gesturing. Often a child would be able to follow a gesture, or they would imitate, like clapping your hands. They don't imitate or gesture well at all. And then repetitive movements like flapping hands and rocking and things like that. And one people might not be aware of is walking on tiptoes. And a lot of our individuals, even as adults, we will see some of them still walk on tiptoe. And that's definitely a sign of some kind of neurological issue going on. Now, In older children, 5 and up, often the child's going to have milder autism because it wasn't picked up when they were young. It wasn't as noticeable. And maybe they have language skills and maybe they're doing great in their academics. They know the alphabet and the numbers. Sometimes they're actually really good at that. But the area would be more in the social area, no friends, not interested in interacting with other children and peers. Maybe they are more comfortable interacting with an adult than they are with a peer their own age. Okay, next slide.
Um,
So if you think your child has autism, you would want to talk to your pediatrician first. You might have heard so much about it that you're thinking, oh, my child has a bunch of these signs and worrying about it. So don't worry about it. Just go ask your pediatrician about your concerns. And if they don't respond like you would hope, ask for a referral to a developmental pediatrician or a psychologist so you can get tested for a diagnosis. Sometimes it might just be a speech delay. It might be a learning issue, but it's better to get on top of it early. Often we have grandparents who will say, I think my grandchild has autism, but my child doesn't recognize it, but they have all these signs that I've read about. And the best thing to do is just say, I'm concerned about the child. And this is for some of you all who are listening that may not have a child, but you might have a neighbor or a friend, a relative, or a grandchild. And it's kind of an awkward thing to say, I think your child has autism, but you could just say, I'm concerned about them not talking as much as they should, or that what do you think about just having them checked out just to see? Because if you could get speech therapy or some early intervention, sometimes that's where they figure out the child has autism, is when they're getting speech, occupational therapy. ABA therapy has definitely been proven to help with young children to gain skills, and music therapy, horseback riding, the hippotherapy have all been great opportunities, and any social opportunities. I know sometimes it's hard to take a child who maybe stands out, who maybe has some behaviors, to activities, birthday parties, things like that. But it's important for other children to be exposed and to learn to accept them as well. So not to just keep them sheltered from that. And they will learn from their typical peers. And often those children will be the ones that will help pull them along. And then to enroll in a school program. In Gwinnett County, you can start with early intervention services at the age of 3 with the public schools, and from birth to 3 through Babies Can't Wait, you can definitely get early intervention services. And Babies Can't Wait is a great place to go for some of those early intervention services, and those services are free. So you need to be aware of free services, free evaluations, and then the public schools are free. So you can get a lot of services in Gwinnett County for no cost.
that's amazing, and that's a lot of important information that our viewers will have access to at the end of the presentation. Um, with the pandemic, I think this year has been like no other, and I'm sure differently able children and their families have had a harder time like, dealing with everything. How would a parent or a family find the needed support and resources?
So you might have to flip to the next slide because, okay. So in our community, we have a lot of resources. So you're fortunate that you live in Gwinnett County. Um, when my son was diagnosed, I was asked first question, where do you live? And when I said Gwinnett County, the psychologist says, stay where you are because you're going to have some of the best resources and services and supports in Gwinnett County. And I have found that to be true. So for Spectrum, we offer, there's a whole slide on that I'll share, but we offer a lot of supports and resources here. Parent to Parent of Georgia, they have a special needs database. If you're looking for a physician, if you're looking for a support group, if you're looking for an attorney, you can use that database. It's kept up on a very regular basis, updated, so you can look on there to find contacts and professionals in the community. And they have a wonderful program called the Supporting Parent Program, where you can be matched with another parent who's walked this path before, someone with a similar situation. Maybe you have a challenge with toilet training. And they can connect you with a parent who's said on their application, that's something I like to talk to parents about. But it could be it could be a behavioral challenge. It could be about transition services, whatever. And I think that's a really great program to get a one-on-one parent who can talk to you, who really understands and who's been through it before. Autism Speaks have wonderful toolkits. They have toolkits you can download, a toolkit on the first 100 days after diagnosis, when you're overwhelmed and you don't know what to do, step by step, what do you need to do? They have toolkits on how do you take a child for a haircut and how do you take a child to the dentist, dealing with some of those sensory issues. They have toolkits for every transition, employment toolkits. Those toolkits are probably one of their best resources. We have the Marcus Autism Center here in Atlanta and Emory Autism Center, and both of them provide therapy and services and evaluations and diagnoses. But I want people to be aware that you do not have to go to a place like that to get a diagnosis. You can go to a developmental pediatrician. You can find those on that parent-to-parent list. You can go to a psychologist, so you don't have to go there to get your diagnosis. They have very long waiting lists, and you don't want to wait. You want to get your diagnosis within a few months of when you suspect a child has autism, whatever age they are. We have many children come to Spectrum programs that were diagnosed at 9, 10, 11, 17. And so when you're that age, you want to get resources as soon as possible. In Community is an organization in Georgia that provides some special funding for children 4 and over. You can get family support funding and respite funding, and it's not based on your income, it's based on your child's disability. And that funding can pay for respite services. It can also pay for camps, swim lessons, hippotherapy. So all of that is helpful for someone who's spending a lot of money and time for a child with needs with autism. So I recommend that people sign up for that. You can get up to, I think, 240 hours a year of respite, and you can get, I think, $3,000 a year in family support funding. So that little bit might be helpful for families. So I say don't delay. On our website, there's a whole page on our resource page about how to apply for those. And then Babies Can't Wait, I mentioned, for children birth to 3 for early intervention and free services. Okay.
Okay, that's a lot of information and very important information. What are some of the tips and coping strategies that you would suggest to?
So I definitely recommend that you get involved with a support group. And most psychologists and counselors, that's going to be the first thing they tell you is find a support group, because they can only do so much as a counselor or a therapist. But to be able to connect with other people, other parents that are going through the same thing, I say you learn more from other parents than you do from any professional. I mean, they've been there, they know, they can tell you who's a good clinic to go to, who's a good speech therapist. And a lot of times our professionals don't have those lists and know where to refer you, but parents can tell you from their firsthand experience what worked for them. And just to know you're not alone, that other people are living the same life. I mean, that is a big part of that. You can read books, and now with the internet, I mean, for me, the first thing I did was I went to my local public library and I checked out every book on autism I could find and pretty much diagnosed my own child because I had trouble getting a professional to diagnose him. And then the internet now, I mean, I didn't even have the internet back then, amazingly, but you can find so many resources and get educated on the internet. Using schedules, I think, is really great for consistency for our kids. And our kids are very visual typically. So if you have a child who maybe has trouble going to bed at night, you could use a timer. That's a visual, and it has a little ding when it's time for bed. We have 5 more minutes and they can watch the timer. But also using photos, pictures of maybe your schedule for the day, and even on Velcro, where you, when you're done with something, you take it off and they know what's coming next. Sometimes knowing what's coming next can make all the difference. And if it's not what's on that schedule, how do you let them know the schedule's changing, right? So the schedule changes today, so we're putting this picture up today. Some people, it could be words. It doesn't have to be pictures. It depends on the ability level of the child. Always say proactive and prevention of behaviors to prevent the outbursts and meltdowns. If you already know, for us, we learned it was the weed eater when we went to speech therapy, and we would have terrible sessions until we all figured out It was the weed eater going outside the same time every week. The lawn care service was there. And so we had to figure out how do we reschedule that or work around that, but to prevent the meltdown and the behavior, to kind of plan ahead for that. Sometimes that just doesn't happen. They're going to happen. They're going to have a meltdown. But if you can do things that um, are proactive and trying to prevent behavior by anticipating and knowing what your child needs, it might be that they need the tight hug or pressure, or you know your child best. So to do that, using reinforcers to encourage appropriate behavior. There are a lot of things you can use for reinforcers, depending on the ability and the age of the child. It could be screen time. It could be a little gummy bear. It could be the chance to get a token, that you get so many tokens, then you get some item or opportunity, an ice cream cone, or you get to go to the park. Whatever it is, that's a positive reinforcer for that child, because every child has the things that work for that child. But to try to encourage them without doing punitive things, taking things away, because sometimes that just escalates behavior rather than encouraging the good behavior. And I think taking care of yourself is so important, to get needed breaks and respite. I know when my child was 5 years old, they would send these flyers home from school about respite. And I didn't even know what the word meant at the time. And when I learned respite was getting a break and leaving my child with someone else, I was like, oh, no, no, there's no way someone else can take him. I wouldn't trust anybody. He's nonverbal. He couldn't tell me anything. And they would send that flyer home every single month in his book bag. And finally, at the end of the school year, they're like, did you do that respite yet? I'm like, no. And my husband and I said, maybe they're telling us something. Maybe we need to try this. So I did sign up for the respite services within community, and they sent a list of potential providers that would come to my home who were trained, supposedly trained, and would know what to do. My son had a lot of behavior, and I thought nobody could deal with him but us. And when I finally got that list, I saw one of his teachers was actually on the list as a respite provider, and I felt comfortable to have her come in my home. And it made all the difference for our marriage, for the other children in our home, for us to get those breaks, to be able to do things where we could do things with them and give them attention without him taking up so much attention. And it was good for Blake too, because he got used to someone else in his life and being comfortable with other people. And we got where we even took her on vacation with us to help with Blake. So I wished I had done it sooner. They give you the analogy always on the plane: oxygen first to the adult, then to the people around you and the children. Well, it's like the oxygen you need is to get those breaks and to take care of yourself. Often you'll see our parents are the ones without having their hair done or dressed nice because they don't have time to take care of themselves. But go get your nails done, join a book club, do things just for you. It's really important, because you will burn out if you don't do that. And it's a lifetime with these children. And then to learn to be an advocate. You are your child's best advocate. When my son was little, my husband would say, we have to speak for all those who can't speak for themselves, not just for him. And I would say, I can barely deal with him. Let's take on advocating for someone else. But I learned quickly that once I learned those advocacy skills, that it didn't mean you're adversarial. It just means you learn to speak up and ask for what's needed for your child, and learn to do it in a good way, in a positive way. And you're a team member, like with your school, and to be a good team member, but to speak up. And then I did learn to speak up for others, because I knew what to do then. And that's part of why I got involved to help with Spectrum. And just try to stay positive. It does get better. And I hope that will encourage you a little bit, some of those tips and coping strategies.
Oh, that was great. Yes. Um, with summer just around the corner, what are some of the programs or workshops that you have coming up?
Okay. So this is a little bit of, you can stop at that slide. Yeah. This is just a little bit about what Spectrum provides on a regular basis. So these are things that are going on all the time, but the monthly support group meetings, you can see there, we have them for all age and ability. We even have a group in Spanish only. Currently, we're offering virtual sessions, and typically we take the summer off, but we've actually added a few. So we will have meetings April, May, and June, and then take July and August off. And then in the fall, we'll be hopeful to have our face-to-face again. If not, we'll continue virtual. When we do the face-to-face, we offer childcare and social skills groups for the children, all age and ability, so that the entire family can come. There's a dad's group. There's something for everyone, even our adults on the spectrum. So I encourage you to get involved in the support groups. We're currently offering a drawing for $50 gift card for our monthly meetings that are virtual too. So that's a little extra perk right now. And you can sign up on our website for those. We do have 6 weeks of day camp coming up for the summer, and we offer school break camp. So we have a spring break camp coming up April 6th, 7th, and 8th. And our camps are at the Net Church. One is in Lilburn and one in Lawrenceville. So you can find that information on our website. And we do serve all ages 4 and above. So all age and ability in those programs. We do have social skills groups. Right now, our drama club is just started, so we'll be offering another one in the fall. The respite we offer on Saturdays, and you can find that on our website. And then family activities are probably our most well-attended events because we offer them free. And we have a fishing day coming up June the 12th. And you register on our website. We have free lunch. We have pony rides, fishing poles, and bait. A clown comes out and does balloon art and face painting. It's a great way to come out and enjoy a judgment-free opportunity for your whole family to come out to do something together. And everybody there has a child with autism, so nobody's judging you for your child's behavior. And you meet other parents and people with similar children, and it just makes everybody feel so much better. We do a lot of community education and training for local churches and businesses. So if you have a church who's interested in a free training, you can contact me. Churches are probably the biggest group that we help educate about including people with autism in their programs in their church, and we have free webinars for them, and we do face-to-face trainings at no charge. We train the Aurora Theater on how to do sensory-friendly performances. It could be any business who wants to be more welcoming to people with autism, so feel free to contact us about that. My favorite thing is one-on-one support. Just taking those phone calls. If you need to talk to someone, just have a question. What do I do about this or that? I'm available to take your phone call for those. And we do have brochures available in English, Spanish, and Korean. You can download them from our website. So I want to make sure people know that we're trying to reach people who may have some language barriers, and we have people that can call you that speak your language as well. Now there is a slide on the summer camps. That we might just.
Before we move to that, I just had a quick question.
Yes.
So the support and resources, like you said, the brochures are available in English, Spanish, and Korean. Do y'all have like in person when y'all do the camps or the programs? Do you have that like in English, Spanish, and Korean, or is it only English and Spanish?
So the support groups right now, we only have in English and Spanish. We're hoping to add in Korean once we're back face to face.
Okay.
And we do have staff on our team that can speak to parents. We hire staff specifically that speak Spanish and Korean as our like camp staff and respite staff, so that they can communicate with the parents and also with the children if needed in their language. And we'll see how much we can expand that. That's one of our goals because Gwinnett is so diverse that we be able to reach everyone. The Korean community actually has modeled their camps after Spectrum's camps, and they have some churches that have grouped together and they offer summer camps that are similar to ours and all in Korean. We actually help do some training to teach them that, and I'm very excited to see what they've done. But I don't think there's a parent support group part to that. It's just the part for the camps.
Okay. That's
Anyway.
great to know. I mean, like you said,
That's a good question. And I think in our community, we want to be sure we're reaching our entire community. We
Right.
serve a very diverse group. If you come to our meetings, you'll see that we're very diverse. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've been able to reach our community. What brings us together is autism.
Yeah. Yes. And you're offering great resources. Did you want me to go to the pictures or the?
Do you have the, okay, well, we were talking about upcoming events. So that one, you can just probably read that there. We do have a Mom's Day out coming up. I mentioned the support group meetings, the camps, the fishing day. We will have a pool party in July with, we partner with Gwinnett Parks and Rec, and it'll be at the West Gwinnett Aquatic Center. The date should be available pretty soon. And then we have a family camp we do up at Camp Twin Lakes where the entire family comes for the weekend. And we do that in a very safe, COVID-friendly way. And the Georgia Race for Autism is our biggest event of the year. So I always say, save the date, October 2nd. It'll probably be a hybrid model this year. with some virtual and some in-person events there. So we do a 5K, a 10K, a trot, a 1 mile, and a 100-yard dash. So there's something for everyone. We do a fall festival, typically silent auction, a big resource fair with over close to 100 resources. So it's a great way to come out and find out local resources. I'm just not sure what we'll be able to do in the fall this year for that.
Right, it's still
Thank you.
let's share some.
Those are just a few photos of some of our activities.
Okay, that's great.
Shows a little bit of our diversity, and there's our camp schedule for the
Great.
summer. As you see, we have themes for each week, so that we focus on a particular theme and weave that through the curriculum, through the crafts, whatever we're doing at camp. And we start at age 4, and we have people as old as 30 that attend our camps.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
um, does Spectrum offer volunteer opportunities to individuals who would like to help out by donating their time? And if so, who would they be able to contact?
So I think one more slide. There we go. So I'm glad you asked that question, because we could not do a lot of what we do without community volunteers. And just the Race for Autism alone, we usually have 300 volunteers come out to help with that one event. But we love volunteers, and it's a great way for you to be educated and exposed to autism. And some of you may already have some experience. I have parents that say, I'd like to volunteer, but we do have a contact us page on our website where you can sign up, and it gives you a lot of options of things you can sign up if you want to help with a fundraising event, or if you would like to help with the family event like the fishing day. We need a lot of volunteers to help put those worms on the hooks and help with giving food out and things like that. Our monthly meetings, we need people to help greet people and show them where to go when we have the face-to-face events. And then with our respite program and our camp program, we do take volunteers. You have to be over 18 to volunteer with those, and we do require a background check, but it can be a really great opportunity. We use interns from high schools and colleges, and so GSMST is one of our favorite schools to send interns over to work, and they love that hands-on opportunity to learn a little more about autism and to work directly hands-on. And then we have a wish list on our website where you can donate supplies and materials, and there's a list, and you can do gift cards even. And a lot of people in the community think, well, that's something that I can do, is to purchase something. Or you may have something gently used. Lego, we love Lego. I had a woman recently donate Barbie dolls, and we realized with all the girls we're starting to get that we don't have a lot of girl toys. And so those girls went wild over those Barbie dolls. Puzzles, there are a lot of things that people might have that they can recycle and donate to us. So we love things like that, craft supplies and things like that. Also, people can come out and enjoy sharing a talent. Like we have the girls who dress up like cosplay, and they want to come out and dress like the princesses from Disney, and maybe it fits with the theme of our camp, and we'll have them come out. You'll see Don, the library guy, there on one of the pictures there, where he comes out every single week of camp. He comes out and he does a story that lines up with our theme, and he has very interactive activities, and it exposes children to books. And so a lot of people in the community may have gifts and talents that they're willing to share and to bring out to camp. And then we also have sponsorship opportunities. So the other photo is a sponsor at our Race for Autism. But we do have multiple opportunities for sponsorship if somebody has a business or maybe a service for people with autism where they want to sponsor and get a little bit more bang for the buck for their name to get out there, but also to support what we're doing as well. So we have a lot of local business that supports the Race for Autism in particular. So we welcome people in all of those areas.
That's great. And to contact Spectrum for assistance, they just get onto your website and they can find.
Yeah, so you can find a lot of information there on the website, especially those resources like family support funding information, and all of our events are there. There's a calendar there, but if you just need to talk to someone, you can shoot me an email. I can give you a phone call. My phone number is there on the website as well. And I welcome phone calls, emails, and can help in any way I can. It's not just about what Spectrum can do for you, but whatever you need around autism supports and family, that's what I'm here for. And that's what I do every day. And that's what I love to do, is to encourage you in your journey.
That's amazing. This has been absolutely wonderful, and the information that you have provided has been priceless. Um, I would like to take a moment to thank you for this and cannot begin to express how grateful we are to have this information and the resources available to our community. Truly appreciate you and the wonderful work that you are doing and the amazing services that you are providing. Thank you once again. If you have any last words, go ahead.
Really, my thing I'd like to encourage everyone to do is to be aware that we do have people with autism in our community, and to be compassionate and understanding, and to be accepting and include them, and to understand there are differences, but in the end, inside, we're all the same. And we want to be, Gwinnett County does such a great job of being so inclusive. Um, for so many things, that I just want to see that our families with autism feel included as well. And I think that we have the opportunity, especially as a parent, to educate our community. So don't hesitate to use your voice to educate people around you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Miss Claire. We appreciate this, and we look forward to having more programs with you, hopefully in person soon enough.
Thank you.
Thanks. You have a wonderful day.